Yes. Or Chris, you disagree?
No,
I like it.
Find me a person that's going to tell him that it doesn't sound good.
Yes, exactly.
No, he sounded great. Sounded great.
Indeed,
I think maybe we should book him for a summer concert, and I mean that seriously.
Why not? All the Sinatra hits. Summer Wind?
I'm in.
The summer wind.
Okay. From across the...
There you go.
I can't even speak today, let alone sing. Marysol Castro, I'm handing it over to you so I can
I will take it from here. Good morning, everyone at home. Good morning, Chris and Erica. Take a look at the national picture. The heat is the big story for today. 20 states from Texas to New York experiencing above normal temperatures. We do have some severe weather in the Great Lakes area and the West Coast. We're talking about cooler temperatures. But let's turn to that severe weather. Overnight, there were 175 reports of severe weather, 20 reports of tornadoes. So the thumb of Michigan, you're going to feel the brunt of it today. There's about a 5% chance of a tornado in and around the state of Michigan, but they're going to be low-grade tornadoes. There's also going to be some rain associated with that severe weather. And then the other flood that we're keeping an eye on in the northern plains, not a whole lot of precipitation for this part of the country, but we're keeping an eye on the snowpack in the upper elevations. By mid to late June, this is really going to become an issue, and of course, we're going to keep you updated on it. That's a look at the weather across the nation. Now let's see what's happening right outside your window. Thanks so much. That's your latest weather. Now, who's Chris?
Monty, thank you very much.
Dr. Jennifer Ashton is here now with more on the long-term damage from concussions. Jen, let's talk about this notion of sucking it up.
Right.
Get back on the field.
Yeah.
Is that changing?
Well, we want it to change, and let me tell you why it has to change. Otherwise, it could actually be deadly. If you think of a concussion in terms of the brain injury, there's swelling of the brain, there's electrical changes in the brain, there's metabolic changes in the brain. All of that can take weeks or even months to heal. If an athlete goes back to play too soon, they are more susceptible for a second hit, a second injury, and that injury, called the second impact syndrome, can actually be deadly.
Well, here's one question. How do you know if you have a concussion? Can you know exactly?
Any sport that is done at high speed that generates enough force that can cause a brain injury can give you a variety of symptoms, and these symptoms can be subtle. You can have anything from these symptoms can be difficult for both the athlete to recognize, their coaches, their parents, anyone around them. They're very, very subtle.
And it can also be difficult to figure out when it's time to go back, right?
That's right. And we need to remember here, Jeff, you don't have to have a loss of consciousness to have a concussion. You don't need to have an abnormal CAT scan to have a concussion. But when you talk about returning to play, it's really based on a number of factors: by a physician or a certified athletic trainer, physical exam, what symptoms the patient's having, and then something called impact testing, which is a computer-based test.
But certainly not least here, we should mention it's not just football.
And it's not just boys. It's hockey, it's lacrosse, it's baseball, it's soccer, and girls are more susceptible than boys to traumatic brain injury. So again, it's not just your sport or your season, it could be your life.
Anything that can involve those collisions. All right, Jen
Absolutely.
Ashton, thank you very much.
Jeff.
You're watching The Early Show.
Coming up, Space Shuttle Endeavour's final day in space ever. It's set to land early.
Now, hey, Maddie, good morning.
Good morning, Jeff. What a beautiful sea of tranquility. I like it. I like it a lot. Good morning, everyone at home, as we take a final look of your weather. Of course, the big story is the heat. 20 states experiencing above average temperatures. So right now we're looking at the Northeast. New York is about the line. It's expected to be about 87 for a high for today. North of there, these are seasonal temperatures. By tomorrow, you're going to feel the heat in that part of the nation. The Southeast is not only hot, it is very humid. Take a look at this: 95 in Atlanta, 96 in Memphis. These could break some records that were set back in the 1950s. Believe it or not, there is some cooler temperatures across the land. It's in the West Coast. It's going to be breezy. These temperatures are about 5 to 10 degrees below average. We're also looking at rain. Crater Lake, Oregon, 3 to 7 inches of snow. That's a look at the weather across the nation. Now let's see what's happening right outside your window.
Enjoy your day.
Thanks so much. That's your latest weather. Now over to Erica.
Maddie, thanks. America has 700,000 doctors, but fewer than 60,000 veterinarians, even though 2/3 of U.S. households have a pet. Our own resident vet, CBS News correspondent Dr. Debbie Turner-Bell, is here to tell us about a creative new program for children, hoping to foster perhaps a little bit more interest in these kids to pick up on the number of vets.
That's exactly right. No, veterinarians go to as much school as human physicians, and most of us will tell you that we've dreamed of being a veterinarian since we were young. Now, one New York City emergency veterinarian is giving children a glimpse into our wonderful profession with a program he calls Little Vets, and it's making a big impact.
About $700?
It's $700
Okay.
for 10 weeks, and hopefully other veterinarians will replicate this. This is great recruiting for the profession.
It is great. It would be interesting to see a few years down the line, too, how many kids actually end up in vet school.
Yeah.
There's
Maybe I'll do a follow-up
There you
report.
go.
Yeah.
That'd be nice to see you.
Sure.
Now here's Chris.
Erica, thank you. Hollywood is smart.